Look, for the moment, Microsoft's Xbox 360, I mean, they're the current next-gen leader. But like Rome, will unreliable hardware lead to the system's downfall? The Xbox 360's red ring of death is one of the biggest consumer electronic problems to ever face a video game console. Literally, the red ring of death is a visual warning light on the front of the Xbox 360. Most believe the light appears when intense gameplay sessions cause the console to overheat. Last month, Microsoft announced that they will incur a cost of over $1 billion to repair the broken consoles and extend the warranties from 1 to 3 years. Some 360 owners think Microsoft isn't doing enough and has ignored the problem from the get-go. Others just hate the idea of waiting up to a month for their console to be repaired. Has Microsoft cured the plague that is the red ring of death, or will flashing lights continue to haunt 360 owners? Abort, retry, or fail? It's The Loop. My guest tonight from New York, gaming editor for Newsweek magazine, Nguy Kroll is here, and from Philadelphia, the editor-in-chief for Joystick.com, Chris Grant. Welcome to The Loop, everybody. Chris, I'd like to start with you. I know you recently lost a console. I'm sorry to hear that. It wasn't to the red ring exactly, but for those who have experienced the flashing red lights, what causes this exactly?
That's kind of part of the problem, Kevin. Microsoft has been very vague about the specific causes. They won't cite any specifics. They won't say exactly why. But, you know, amateur engineers have been cracking the thing apart for, the last year and a half. And there appears to be problems with the heat sinks. I think it's a whole issue, but it's basically typified by an overheating console, which shows the 3 flashing lights on the front, which Microsoft calls general hardware failure. And that's the red ring of death. But
now, Nguy, the reason Microsoft is being so hush-hush about that isn't because they don't want to let the cat out of the bag. It's because it's only affected, 2 or 3 consoles at best?
Kevin, it's been a little more than that. The problem I have with how Microsoft's handled the situation, they were slow to respond initially. There were anecdotal reports that have been mounting for months, and they kept insisting that the failure rate was within the 3 to 5% that's acceptable.
Right.
It turned out that it's more than that. The next thing is they have, as Chris pointed out, they have not been fully forthcoming about the nature of the problem or problems. They've been very vague about it. And then third, they're continuing to sell defective hardware. They won't tell us when did they find out what was wrong, what changes they made, which batch numbers had the problem. So a consumer could walk into the store today, buy a 360, take it home, and it's a ticking time bomb. Not that it's going to hurt them. It's definitely not a danger, a physical risk, but they could...
I don't know. Have you ever talked to a gamer who was ready to play BioShock and popped in the disc and saw the red ring? They can definitely be a danger to themselves, house pets, and society, Nguy.
Yeah. I mean...
Chris, let me ask you this. All right, yes, you can still go into a brick-and-mortar store today, buy the console. There's a problem with it. But Microsoft is spending over $1 billion with an extended warranty. Is that just not enough because people can still have a bad experience?
Well, I mean, part of it's just frustration, right? You're going to get a system. Microsoft's promoting their big holiday lineup. They have all these incredible games coming out. And you're going to get Halo 3, and then a week later your system's going to break, and you're going to wait a month for it to turn around and get back in your hands. I mean, that's, for most gamers, an unacceptable premise.
Nguy, how unacceptable is it, though? Because I feel like these defects haven't actually really hurt sales. I mean, it might have hurt Microsoft's image, but people are going out and buying additional consoles to replace the bricks that they have in their entertainment system.
Well, that's the advantage that Microsoft has, is that with the way consoles work is you can justify buying a new hardware because you don't want to forsake all the money that you spent on the software. But where this could really come to a head, I mean, look, people thought that Guitar Hero for Xbox 360 was bricking their consoles. Then they thought Forza was bricking them. But as it turns out, if it is indeed a heat problem, which we have good reason to believe that it is, then it was probably the fact that those are 2 games that encourage people to play longer than typical sessions. Well, now look at the fall lineup. You've got BioShock coming out next week. You've got Halo coming out at the end of September. You've got Call of Duty 4. You've got Rock Band and Guitar Hero 3. This could be a cascading systems failure of people who strap in for long sessions, and the next thing they know, they lose their system.
I mean, anecdotal evidence has been building up anyway. The launch systems are getting older and older, and the older they get, the more likely they are to fail, it seems. So,
Chris, does there need to be a mass recall? What needs to happen? Does Microsoft need to just fess up and say, you know what, we're pulling them all off the shelves?
I don't think it'll happen. I mean, there's not a lot of precedence for a mass recall that isn't related to safety issues. There's no safety issue with the box, so they're going to probably let consumers do it. They're going to hopefully fix the engineering problems. They're supposed to introduce newer, smaller, cooler, quieter chips in the future, hopefully
Right.
Q4. When those come out, I think you'll see a much more reliable product, but at what cost? A lot of our readers on Joystick don't have said that they're waiting for those newer systems to come out before they bother taking the plunge. So,
and Guy, what about you? You were sort of the recall whistleblower. You'd like to see one, right?
Well, no, I'm a journalist, and so what I would like to see, and I know it's impossible for Microsoft to give it, but as a journalist I have to ask for it, is more information. Give consumers the information that they need to make an informed choice. Should they wait until the 65 nanometer ones come out? Should they look for certain lot numbers or batch numbers? I mean, what should they do if they really want to get in, jump in, buy a 360, but not have to get on the customer service bandwagon?
Yeah, apparently they should wait on hold for a cardboard box in 6 weeks and then send it back. All right, Chris, I want to go to you for the final word. I'm sorry, we're running out of time, but do you think Microsoft is facing a class action lawsuit here?
I'm pretty positive that there's probably hundreds of lawyers that are going over that exact possibility right now. You don't have a company the size of Microsoft with an error the size of this, with a very consumer-oriented system, and not have people considering it.
And Guy, would you agree with that?
I'm sure there are already class action lawsuits in the works, and I think that's part of the reason why Microsoft can't be that forthcoming is they don't want to give any information away to the other side. I mean, it's a good first step, but as a consumer, if I were in that situation, if my 360 had red ringed, I'd be very upset.
All right. Well, I'm sure it's upsetting to a lot of gamers, but it has led to some amazing rock and roll music. I want to thank my guests, Guy and Chris, for keeping us all in the loop. We appreciate it, guys.
Attack of the Show, weeknights at 7, only on G4.